Greetings and welcome to Jefficho Films. You know, after watching the Crawl trailer recently, I was trying to think of my favorite alligator crocodile movie, and Rogue was pretty good, pretty solid movie there, but my favorite's definitely got to be this one, done in 1999, starring Bill Pullman and Jane Fonda. Let's review Lake Placid. This movie starts out on a boat with the sheriff played by Gleeson and a guy from Fish and Games, and he generally tags beavers. And so he goes into the water and we get a little beaver jump scare at one point, but the guy's just grabbed underwater and he's just dragged along across until he jumps onto the boat and Gleeson pulls him up, but only half of him because the other half's missing. Next we meet Kelley, who's played by Bridget, Fonda, and she works at the American Museum of Natural History, and she's a paleontologist, and she just recently found out that her boss/boyfriend Kevin has been cheating on her with her best friend, and he wants to send her out to Maine to look at a tooth that's been found inside of a body. It looks like a dinosaur. She gets to Maine, goes to the morgue, looks at the tooth, and it's definitely reptilian. Then she asks to see the body, and she's asking a lot of questions, and she wants to go down to the lake with them.
How long did this attack go on for?
Seconds. 8, maybe 10.
Oh, and this is how he came up to the boat?
Yes.
I'd like to see this lake.
The sheriff grabs some supplies and Kelley meets Jack, who's played by Bill Pullman, and he tries to talk her out of coming, but it doesn't work. They take the boat onto a lake where they go up to a property and they meet Betty White's character. She tells them that her husband passed away a few years ago, but she never reported it. She's also very sarcastic.
Do you know how your husband died?
And I hit him on the head with a skillet, and then buried him under the bulkhead. Well, dig him up if you don't believe me, Sherlock.
Back in the water they find a moose head, but it's not attached to a moose. They make it to camp and Kelley makes a friend, a young female deputy. Also, a helicopter shows up and it's Hector, a mythology professor that Kelley knows. He likes to swim with crocodiles and reconnect with the world.
Have you seen it, mister?
No.
Excuse me. You came here to help you find it.
A crocodile.
Yeah. They've been migrating north, you know. This lake does connect to the ocean. It's not as far-fetched as it may sound.
They go canoeing and we get another taste of the great banter between the sheriff and Hector, and all the fish around them are getting freaked out and one of the canoes gets flipped.
They aren't feeding. They're scared.
The U.S. Wildlife won't send anyone until they have confirmation, though they did find a toe. Hector's actually paid some of the cops to dig giant holes to catch the crocodile, and he's playing music to draw it towards the land, which is a terrible plan. And once the sheriff finds out, he stops it from happening. Jack and Kelley are just chilling by the fire, and she tells him the real reason why she wants to stay and that she's not going back. He understands.
He turned out to be involved with a coworker who was also my friend, and for the sake of comfort, theirs, I was shipped off to Maine.
The sheriff wakes up to take a piss in the middle of the night and he hears something, so he pulls out his gun and he almost shoots Hector, who's laying spring traps. They start arguing and it wakes up everybody. Hector explains that he thinks that crocodiles are godly.
We should get some sleep.
Damn it!
The sheriff falls into a trap and then we get a beautiful shot of the misty lake. The next day they go swimming and they got baby hatchling sounds because that's supposed to attract crocs. We learn a lot of facts about crocs. I like that they're actually experts and they say some intelligent things in this. Jack and Hector go underwater, but then the boat gets pulled across the lake and Kelley falls in. The little fishies between the boat and Kelley go nuts, so they race and they get there and they pull her out. And the jump scare is that it's just Jack coming up. And then Hector gets on board and there's really nothing left to do. Everything's safe and the deputy just has to pull up the speaker.
Berg, pull up the speaker!
Are you alright?
Back at camp, because now they have confirmation the U.S. Wildlife is on its way, and Hector and the sheriff start getting into a big argument, and then they find out there are other dangers in the forest, but still not as dangerous as a croc. Kelley cuts Jack a butterfly bandage and takes care of him as the sexual tension between them starts to grow. Also, the sheriff and Hector start to bond as they're watching crocodile footage on his laptop. He explains that an Asia crocodile is like 30 feet long.
I never heard of a crocodile crossing an ocean.
Well, they conceal information like that in books.
It's all right, pal.
Off in the distance, they spot Betty White leading a blindfolded cow down towards the water where the crocodile is. Poor cow. They get up there and they talk to her and they find out she's been feeding it for 6 years. It followed her husband Bernie home one time when he was fishing, and then one of the horses got loose not that long ago, and Bernie went in to save it, and it ate him. While that's going on, Hector took the hot deputy out in his helicopter and they took it into the water, and he wants to go in there and find the crocodile's cave. She's trying to talk him out of it as he's swimming on the surface, and he turns around and the crocodile's just calmly there staring at him.
Oh my.
He talks to it ever gently, says, "You're different than the others." And before he gets eaten, he pulls out a little inflatable boat and he launches it off to the side. The crocodile goes for it, eats the boat, and then Sharon starts shooting at it. He manages to get back to the helicopter and they get the fuck out of there. The group freaks out a little bit. They had some issues with Hector's actions. We learned that he went in there because he wanted to be judged, but he says he'll never go back in that water. The Florida Wildlife Fish and Game are 3 hours away, and they're gonna kill it when they get there, so Hector tries to convince them to trap it and trank it. So they decide to take the woman's cow and hang it from the helicopter as bait. They dip the cow in, hoping that it's gonna paddle and draw the crocodile in, but it's night now and the cows are getting tired. I wonder how much fuel they have.
A little closer, Hector.
It's bloody huge. It actually pulls the helicopter off balance and it crashes and people fall into the water. I mean, even Kelley on land, who's by the truck, gets knocked into the water. The sheriff tries to go in to save Hector. They're all trying to shoot it and trank it. Kelley has to go underwater to avoid death, and she meets up with Hector and the crocodile's trying to get at them, and it ends up going through the helicopter and getting stuck. And Hector points out that drugs are starting to kick in. It's a sad little tired crocodile, and it's a nice moment. Jack wants the sheriff to kill it, but Kelley talks him out of it. So Jack just tranks it one more time, and everyone's safe from the crocodile now.
Please!
Holy shit, there's a second one, and it grabs Hector and pulls him in, and when it comes back, the sheriff blows it up. In the end, the Florida wildlife shows up, the cow's still alive, friendships are made, and Kelley calls Jack out on not making a move on her. Somehow Betty White's not in jail, and she's sitting at the end of her dock feeding bread to little baby crocodiles. They're so cute, till they grow up and eat you. I really want to be driving on the highway and see this giant croc on the end of this trailer, because it'd just be amazing. This is a great movie, but it has terrible sequels just because they're all straight to DVD with terrible CGI. Most of the film was shot in Lincoln, Maine, but some of it was filmed in Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. They even went to Bunsen Lake. With a budget of $35 million, it made $56 million, which is probably why all its sequels were straight to DVD and not in theaters. All that said, this is probably one of my favorite crocodile movies. I mean, the character's a bit hokey and goofy, and everybody's got an odd personality, which just adds to the comedy. The acting was so well done in this, and the CGI on the alligators was pretty good.
So does nobody ever make a move in Maine? That's it, you slide your duffel bag.
Just get in the truck. We can go for a beer. There's a good bar in town.
And I won't lie, after watching that trailer for Crawl, I'm pretty excited about watching that one too. So let me know in the comments below what your favorite crocodile or alligator movie is. And as always, thanks for watching.